talking to all the analysts and the pundits and the reporters and everybody else in between out there. You don't get to dictate for the paying audience what they like and what they dislike. I could make the argument that the fact that this stuff has been politicized, because it clearly has been, and people are forced to take sides, is something that's working to the benefit of the WNBA, because we're talking about the WNBA more than we ever have.
That's a good point. We are talking about the league more than we ever have. Is this a case of all publicity is good publicity? Also, to Stephen A's earlier point,
if you thought the WNBA had already hit rock bottom, you need to sit down, lock the doors, and brace yourself. Because what happened this morning on national television didn't just break the internet, it officially shattered the entire foundation of professional women's basketball. The mainstream media is currently in an absolute state of panic, scrambling to scrub the footage, but the damage is already done. We are not looking at a simple locker room argument or a controversial foul anymore. Music, we are witnessing a full-scale, unadulterated civil war. And the casualties are the biggest names in the sport. For the last 48 hours, rumors have been swirling about a secret emergency meeting held by WNBA team owners. But nobody knew the horrifying truth of what was discussed behind those closed doors until StephenA.Smith walked onto the set of First Take, looked directly into the primary camera, and dropped the equivalent of a nuclear bomb on live television. He didn't just expose a scandal. He exposed a shadowy cartel of billionaires who are actively trying to destroy a player's life. Sophie Cunningham, a fan favorite and one of the most outspoken voices in the league, is currently the target of an immediate, permanent, and completely unjustified ban from the WNBA. And the chaos is so catastrophic, the fallout is so intensely toxic, that WNBA Commissioner Cathy Engelbert didn't even try to fix it. Instead, she did the absolute unthinkable. She threw her hands in the air, packed up her office, and literally walked out on the league. The WNBA is burning to the ground. And today, I am going to show you the exact smoking gun that started the fire.
About it, I don't believe Sophie Cunningham will be with the Fever next year. I said this before. I didn't think she was going to be there this year because of the bad press. Now, everything that Sophie Cunningham did this year put the Indiana Fever and the entire league on notice. I'm sticking by it. I think they're going to try to Colin Kaepernick her, bro. I really do. It goes on to say the 30-year-old guard who joined the Fever in 2025 after 6 years with the Phoenix Mercury signed a one-year deal for 2026 that ends soon, fueling speculation about her exit. Her summer ESPN comments wanting to protect young girls from competing against biological men, which she called common sense, drew cheers from spectators and boos at games. Backers highlights her three-point shooting, enforcer style, and broad apparel, arguing the WNBA needs her more than she needs it amid rumors tied to her views. Yes, Sophie Cunningham, whether they like this or not, the pub that Sophie's getting.
To understand this absolute bloodbath, we have to look at the man who finally pulled the trigger, music, StephenA.Smith. Now, let's be brutally honest. For weeks, Stephen A. has been walking a very dangerous, very hypocritical tightrope. Music, when the war of words erupted between former NBA player Enes Kanter and the WNBA, Smith, music, was playing both sides of the fence. Kanter was exposing the league's massive double standards, calling out the blatant hypocrisy of the front office, and demanding accountability. Stephen A. tried to play the diplomat. He tried to protect his connections with the WNBA executives while simultaneously throwing breadcrumbs to the angry fans. He was playing a dangerous political game. But yesterday, the tightrope finally snapped. Someone inside the WNBA's front office made a fatal mistake. They leaked a highly classified internal audio memo directly to StephenA.Smith's production team. When Stephen A. heard what the owners were secretly planning to do to Sophie Cunningham, his entire demeanor changed. You could see the sheer disgust on his face during the broadcast. He realized that playing both sides was no longer an option because what the owners were orchestrating wasn't just unfair, it was downright evil. Music. StephenA.Smith went completely rogue. He ignored the producers screaming in his earpiece. He ignored the commercial breaks, and he went on a scorched earth rant that completely dismantled the WNBA's fake image of unity. So, what exactly did Sophie Cunningham do to put a target on her own back? She committed the ultimate sin in modern sports. She told the absolute, unfiltered truth. While the rest of the league was busy bowing down to the corporate sponsors and pretending everything was perfectly fine, Sophie Cunningham dropped a massive, undeniable bombshell about the inner workings of the WNBA. She exposed the financial manipulation. She called out the biased officiating that favors specific protected players. And most importantly, she publicly aligned with the hard truth that Enes Kanter was preaching, proving that the players themselves were completely fed up with the league's toxic dictatorship. The WNBA owners went into a blind, terrifying rage. They realized that Sophie Cunningham wasn't just a player. She was becoming a martyr for the fans. She was becoming a voice of rebellion. And billionaires do not like rebellions.
Us t-shirts during overtime and told us we had to leave.
And this says for the girl.
Or cover our shirts up. This just happened.
It's crazy, right? It's totally crazy. That's the mother and daughter team that just the other day were kicked out of the game in Atlanta. It turns out they paid like $1,000 for their tickets, which everybody was like, oh my God, $1,000 for a WNBA ticket? Like that in and of itself is shocking. And then they get kicked out because they're wearing XX and XY. Just like Kanter was kicked out of the game last night because he was wearing a woman and what she is, the definition of a woman. And it's so funny to me. It's so weird that this is becoming such a big thing. Like, honestly, you really have to make that big a deal of it? Apparently they do. There is a school of thought there that is like uber progressive and uber crazy in the athletic world and embodied by so many of these people that are in the WNBA. And they don't like what Sophie represents for a whole lot of reasons, right? Same thing with Caitlin Clark. You know the drill on that. And then you get, the Megan Rapinoe's of the world even, that it feels so inclined to weigh in on this too. Like, Megan, really? Didn't you play like a bunch of 15-year-old boys and they whipped your you-know-what pretty darn fast? Like, you can't play against men, Megan. Like, what are you thinking?
I want to...
According to the leaked documents that StephenA.Smith waved on live television, a coalition of the most powerful WNBA owners held an emergency, off-the-books conference call. Their objective wasn't to find Sophie. Music, it wasn't to suspend her for a few games. Their explicit, documented goal was to find a legal loophole to completely ban Sophie Cunningham from the league immediately. They wanted to strip her of her contract, void her endorsements, and publicly humiliate her to send a terrifying message to the rest of the locker room. If you speak out against the cartel, we will erase your entire existence. Stephen A. was screaming into the microphone, "You have owners in this league acting like the mafia. You have executives plotting in the dark to ruin a young woman's career because she had the guts to say what everyone else is thinking. You don't want a basketball league, you want a cult of silence." The exposure was brutal, raw, and completely unprecedented. When a scandal of this magnitude hits the public airwaves, you expect the commissioner of the league to step up to the podium, take the heat, and promise a thorough investigation. But Kathy Engelbert didn't do any of that.
Can wake up and say, I'm a female and I want to participate in the NBA according to the letter of the language of the law. You can actually get away with it. And that needs to be clarified. Clearly, that's a political position to take. And I think on one hand, Enes Kanter was very wrong. It was a classless thing for him to do.
Well, I don't even think it's a political issue. That's the craziest part. It's not a political issue. It's a common sense issue. The WNBA, they maybe have turned it into a political issue because they refuse to use basic logic and anatomy. But it's not really a political issue. Or it shouldn't at least be a political issue. Maybe that's a better way to put it. It shouldn't be a political issue because it's common sense, but it's a political issue because those who are delusional have been catered to for far too long. To now they're believing their own delusions, and common sense needs to step in every now and then and just smack you over the head.
Because it's not, the ladies that are playing don't have anything to do with this. The league does. Its collective bargaining agreement may be the case. The liberal tilt that it has might be a cause or a cause effect to some degree. I get all of that, but the actual ladies that are involved, they have nothing to do with this, and they don't deserve to be agitated the way he clearly was willing to do in attendance at the game. It wasn't just about him standing, but he was just about to step to her. You got no business doing that.
He was just about to step to. You don't believe that, Stephen A., do you? You don't believe that, Stephen A. She ran across the entire court. She went from one side of the court to the other side of the court to get into his face. You don't believe he was going to step on the court, do you?
When StephenA.Smith aired the dirty laundry, the backlash from the fans was instantaneous and absolutely devastating. Millions of fans flooded social media, threatening total boycotts. Sponsors started nervously backing away. The pressure cooker exploded. Engelbert realized that the owners had gone completely rogue behind her back. She realized she was standing on the deck of a sinking ship, holding a bucket with a hole in it. So, what did the leader of the WNBA do? She surrendered. Reports leaked late last night that a furious Kathy Engelbert stormed into a meeting with the Board of Governors, slammed her keys on the table, and announced she was walking out. She refused to be the public punching bag for a group of vindictive, out-of-control team owners who were actively trying to ruin Sophie Cunningham's life.
She she sprints down across the other side of the court, barking at him, losing her mind. She needs a sedative.
Deserve that. Not the ladies actually playing. They don't deserve that. And all of us, as American citizens, as human beings, find ourselves caught up in a political system that has purview and dominion over us as citizens of a society. If anybody knows that, it's Enos Cantor Freedom, because of his history with Turkey.
So you think he'd understand the importance of speaking out, huh, Stephen A, right? Right, Stephen A? You'd think he'd understand the importance of going through this whole entire song and dance so we don't get to a level that he thinks that we could possibly get to. You think he'd understand that, wouldn't you, Stephen A, right? You'd say he's an expert in this, has some experience, been down this road before, understands the song and dance. Gotcha.
That's where he's from. That's where his family is from. This man was in fear of his life. I interviewed him. I heard his story. And the courage that he showed in speaking out against the Turkish government, against China, and putting himself in that lion's den. Because of his past political history, he should be applauded. Not to mention the fact that taking a political position is consistent with who he has been. Perfectly understandable. Got it.
Oh, so this is nothing new, you're saying? So your issue is just that it happened in the WNBA? What exactly is your issue, Stephen A? Like, you're doing a lot of complaining right now, but what exactly is your issue? The fact that he showed up to the game? Is that your issue? The fact that he was wearing a t-shirt? Is that the problem? You want him to take his shirt off, Stephen A? What's your problem?
Let that sink in. The commissioner of the Women's National Basketball Association literally quit in the middle of the season because the corruption and the internal sabotage had become so disgustingly toxic that, she couldn't stomach it anymore. The league is currently operating with absolutely zero leadership. It is a total, unprecedented vacuum of power. The inmates are officially running the asylum. This is no longer just a basketball story. This is a massive corporate scandal. The fans are absolutely irate, and rightfully so. For years, the WNBA has preached about empowerment, about protecting their players, and about standing up for what is right. But the second a player like Sophie Cunningham actually stands up and speaks her mind, the owners form a shadowy firing squad to permanently ban her from the sport. StephenA.Smith finally chose a side, and in doing so, he completely destroyed the WNBA's carefully crafted illusion. Enes Kanter has been vindicated. Sophie Cunningham is currently sitting in absolute limbo, waiting to see if these billionaire owners will actually succeed in tearing up her contract. And the league office is completely empty because the commissioner decided to run away rather than face the music. The WNBA is facing an existential crisis. If they ban Sophie Cunningham, millions of fans will never watch another game. But if the owners back down now, they lose all their power and prove that StephenA.Smith defeated them on national television. It is a lose-lose situation, and the clock is ticking.
Left-wing media and WNBA sources are now saying Sophie Cunningham might be released from her team at the end of the season. Her future is subtly in doubt. Interesting. Does anyone seriously doubt this isn't because of her supporting women's sports? Now, this is the scene that has been happening at a lot of these games. Let's watch. So as you guys can see here, this is the Indiana Fever, man. Look at Caitlin. Caitlin did this. This was at the Atlanta Dream game. Caitlin did this before. She didn't have her hand on her heart. Now, I'm not saying I'm going to sit here and nitpick Caitlin for her political views, but this looks spooky, CC. This looks spooky. Goes on to say sources within WNBA are now saying the league plans to release Sophie Cunningham in the offseason as effectively banish her from playing in the WNBA ever again. What did I tell y'all? They finna Colin Kaepernick Sophie. I knew it. Ain't no team gonna sign her. So I believe the Fever are going to release her. No doubt about it. Here's the thing. I don't believe another team is going to sign Sophie, guys. I really don't. And I believe she's going to be the new Colin Kaepernick, bro. Something 80% of Americans agree. If the WNBA engages in the obvious form of discrimination, then the Department of Justice will be forced to step in. Yes, intervene. This is going to turn into a very, very bad situation. This might be the biggest story of the WNBA.
The WNBA is terrified right now, and they 16:42 minutes, 42 seconds are doing everything in their power to suppress this story in silence, StephenA.Smith. But we are not going to let them bury the truth. I need to hear from 16:51 minutes, 51 seconds every single one of you in the comments right now. Are the WNBA owners acting like a corrupt mafia for trying to ban 16:58 minutes, 58 seconds Sophie Cunningham? Was Commissioner Kathy Angelbert a coward for walking out, or was she right to abandon a sinking ship? And did StephenA.Smith 17:0617 minutes, 6 seconds finally redeem himself by exposing this sick, unthinkable plot? Let your voice be heard down below because this comment 17:13 minutes, 13 seconds section is going to be a war zone. If you want the real unfiltered truth that the mainstream media is afraid to touch, smash that like button, subscribe 17:22 minutes, 22 seconds, music, to the channel, and hit the bell notification. Keep holding the line and I will see you in the next explosive.